and welcome back to Merry Little Betsmas. Today I am in my kitchen because we are going to be baking a pumpkin chocolate chip loaf from scratch. Let's get started. This is not my recipe. I actually found it on Pinterest. It was posted by Sarah Welch at dinneratthezoo.com, and I will definitely be posting that down below. So it is no secret that while in quarantine during all of this coronavirus craziness, people have been baking like crazy, and specifically bread. And in typical Becca fashion, I don't follow a trend until it's basically over. So let's get started on baking this pumpkin chocolate chip loaf. So pumpkin loaf is my favorite, and specifically pumpkin chocolate chip loaf. I always add chocolate chips to anything pumpkin that I bake. I think pumpkin and chocolate are like the greatest together, and probably two of my favorite flavors. So I went on the search to find this from scratch recipe because I have never baked pumpkin chocolate chip loaf from scratch before. So we are going to go on this journey together. There were many good reviews for this recipe, so I am super excited. And now let's talk about what we are going to need for our pumpkin chocolate chip loaf. So here are all the ingredients that you are going to need to bake your pumpkin chocolate chip loaf. You will need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. You will need 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 cup of granulated sugar. Ours is in this bag because it was spilling everywhere. 1 cup of pumpkin puree, 3/4 cup of vegetable oil or canola oil, 2 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 1/4 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips, or quite frankly, however many you want. So now that we have all of our ingredients, we are ready to bake. What you are going to need to do first is preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which I have already started to do, and also to spray your loaf pan with baking spray or cooking spray or butter. It also says to lay parchment paper down, but I discovered as I was getting ready to do this that we do not have any parchment paper. So I just sprayed my pan a lot, and I'm hoping for the best. So the first thing we are going to do is put our flour, baking soda, salt, and pumpkin pie spice in the bowl and whisk till they are combined. Together, we are going to add the remaining ingredients except for the chocolate chips, and we're going to stir all of those in until everything is just combined. So now we've put all of our ingredients into the bowl and they are just mixed. So you want to make sure you do not over mix the mixture. How many times can you say mix in one sentence? So now you're probably gonna wanna take another bowl. I just have this like pretty small bowl, and you are going to take your chocolate chips. You're gonna mix 1 cup or whatever into the bowl, and then 1 tablespoon of flour. So you wanna toss that all together so that the chocolate chips don't just sink to the bottom of your loaf. Now we are going to take our mixed batter with the chocolate chips and we're gonna pour it into our loaf pan that has been sitting with cooking spray in it. And if you are more prepared than myself, then you will also have lined it with parchment paper. But I just oversprayed it and I am going to hope for the best. Also, make sure you don't put away those chocolate chips because you're gonna use them a little bit more. So as you saw, I actually ended up having to get a little spatula to scrape it out of the bowl. I did notice that the dough is a little sticky, so I'm hoping that's right. I did everything correctly, I swear. I neurotically have been checking the recipe. But the final step before going to the oven is you're going to take a 1/4 cup or your remaining chocolate chips. I actually don't even know that I have a 1/4 cup left. And sprinkle it on top of the dough in the pan. So our final step is to take our fully prepared dough in our very sprayed loaf pan and put it in the oven. So that dough will go in the oven for about 55 to 65 minutes. Obviously, all ovens are different. I tend to always hit that extreme middle mark with my oven and usually it's good. So I put it in for an hour and now we're just gonna wait. All right, so we had our bread in the oven for about an hour and it now has been out of the oven and cooling for about 30 minutes. Technically, the recipe says you only have to cool it for 10 minutes, but I really let it cool and walk the dog. You also want to make sure that you can stick a toothpick in and it comes out clean, which I did, and it did. So here is our fully baked pumpkin chocolate chip loaf. Now I will admit, this was my first time baking this recipe and it might be a little burnt. But we're gonna taste it and we're gonna see, because I have a feeling it might still be okay. So what I will say is, I didn't have any parchment paper, as I said, but I did spray the loaf pan a lot, and the bread is completely free from the pan. It's fine, it didn't stick at all, so I wouldn't worry if you don't have parchment paper. I think you'll be fine with just spraying the pan, but just make sure you really spray it. So as you can probably tell, it's a little burnt, and definitely has some crispy edges. I don't know that that's a bad thing, but the bread itself looks and it smells so good. So I'm gonna taste it and make sure it's really good. Yeah, it's delicious. What I will say is I think my chocolate chips that I sprinkled on top of the loaf got a little toasty. It's not bad, but you can definitely taste it's a little burnt. So what I would say is just keep an eye on it in the oven as it's nearing the end of its baking time and just try and pull it out a little sooner than I did. But other than that, I'm really happy with this. I'm happy with this recipe. I will certainly be making it again and I hope you will too. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button and leave a friendly comment down below letting me know what your favorite holiday dessert is. Maybe I'll make it next time. And to keep up with more of my daily life, you can follow me at Twitter and Instagram at BexyBoohoo. And if you want even more Christmassy content, hit that big red subscribe button and that jingle bell notification to be notified every time I post a new video. That's all for today. Happy holidays!